Okay, Blessed, you have a question? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so you said I should chat you up. Good evening. You said I should chat you up last time, and I did, but I have not gotten any.
Sorry, can you speak louder, please?
Okay, so I said you said I should chat you up last time, but I did, and up to now I've not gotten any response yet.
Okay, please. Well, you know what? After the class, just send me a message on Slack at iKeys, okay, and then we'll look into that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Please indicate you can hear me by raising your hands. Okay, great. You can lower your hands now. So how have we been? How has the week been so far? I mean, after the Q&A session, were you able to like do some certain things? How has the week been generally? I just need an answer from one person. If you guys can hear me, I need an answer from one person. Just tell me how the week has been with KodeCamp 2.0. I mean the tax and everything. Okay, I'm seeing Freda Sibuzo. Okay. Freda, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My week has been good because I've been going through this UI UX. I've been trying to garner more knowledge on it because I cannot just do one thing. Yeah, so I've been trying to get other materials to read up on what you've taught us, Miss Favor, on this design thinking and the rest, and I was able to gather very enough knowledge, yeah, and I have questions, yeah. So it's been exciting and really, really intriguing because I get to read up on stuff and yeah, keep my head in check. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much, Freda. Thank you. All right, so I'm sure we're excited about today's class. We're just going to get right into it. So we have our mentors here, Design Chi, you're welcome, Iechi, you're welcome too. Okay, so today we'll be talking about empathy and user research. I know we talked about the design thinking processes on the last class, the last class before the Q&A session. Okay, so someone is saying I'm not audible enough. Please, can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me audibly, actually. If you cannot hear me when the rest can, my voice is really low. Not wow. Can you guys hear me now? Okay, better. Thank you very much.
Yes, it's better now.
All right. Thank you. So, like I was saying, we'll be talking about empathy and user research today. I know we talked about it the last class, the class before the Q&A session. We'll be looking at it fully now. We're going to be talking about empathy, how to empathize with our users, and user research, and how to conduct research and all of that. So what are we going to be learning today? First, interview tips. That's how to conduct your interviews. Secondly, we're going to be learning empathy mapping, user research, and then I'll show you guys the resources, just like we do in every class. So let's get right into it. You can see the heading, empathy interview tips rather. Okay. So the quote there says, "You know nothing, Jon Snow," because I said earlier in our last class that we're human beings, so we tend to assume a lot of things about people. It's very easy to actually assume. All right. So, but that's not what we want to do when we're conducting our user research. We want to get to know our users better. We do not want to assume anything about them. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Don't assume to know the answer to a question and hence make a conclusion about it. We want to know the user's answer after all. I mean, that's why we're doing this. So as a UX designer, you have to be curious and do not skip any question for any reason except you do not have time. And be sure to be a good listener. I'm going to repeat it again. We're not supposed to make assumptions. In order to carry out an effective user research, we have to ask questions, okay? We should be curious and then always listen. Be a good listener. With that, we'll be able to get as much information from our users. Don't assume you know anything because actually you do not know anything about the users and what they want, their needs, their frustrations, their pain points, and all of that. And again, be curious. Do not skip any question, just like you can see on this slide. Okay, just to confirm before I move on, can you guys hear me? Please indicate by raising your hands if you can hear me. If you can hear me clearly. Okay, because I'm seeing some comments that I'm fading away slowly. I'm far from my mic. So I just want to know that everybody's hearing me clearly. All right. Thank you very much. I'll just move on then. Okay, so the next tip, manage expectations. So to conduct your interview or research, first of all, you're supposed to introduce yourself to them. Tell them why you're conducting this particular user interview. Okay, I could go by, my name is Favor on Sunday, and I am conducting this interview because of this or that or this. Okay, so we just fill that in. And then we're going to tell them what to expect from the interview and how long the interview will last. Will I be recording? Will I not? We should tell them all of this. Will I be taking notes? These are the things you should take note of when you're conducting your interview. Okay, like I said, manage expectations. We have a very long slide today, so I'll just try to brush through so that we do not waste our time. So the next tip, ask open-ended questions, and this is very important. So we should all take note of this. Avoid leading questions that box the participant into what you want to hear. For example, instead of asking, do you feel the send feature we have currently is bad? You can reverse it to, match their own perspective by asking them, can you tell me about the time you used our send feature? I'm going to explain. So if I have a user, let me use someone here. We have Leo. Okay, so let's say Leo is one of the participants. Okay, I'm conducting an interview with Leo. And then I ask him, do you feel the send feature we have is currently bad? He's going to tell me stuff about, the whole, he's going to either tell me yes or no. All right. He's going to tell me everything about the send feature. Okay, I feel this and that. But then if I ask him, can you tell me about the time you used our send feature? Okay. He's going to tell me everything about the send feature, the time he used it, what happened, his frustration, and all of that. Do you understand? So we should try to take note of this. The way you give out your questions, okay, would determine the kind of answers you get. And we're trying to get as much info as possible. All right. And avoid questions that, will give you yes or no responses. You should keep asking whys and more whys as long as they are comfortable. We do not want questions like, have you ever ordered food online? Yes. And then we leave it like that. If you're going to ask questions like that, you have to follow it up with, let's say, for example, have you ever ordered food online? If yes, what was your experience like? Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, so I was saying, ask open-ended questions. I mean, the main reason why we're doing this interview is to get as much information as we can. Okay, we're trying to find out more about these people, their pain points, their frustrations, their goals, and all of that. So if we now ask them yes or no questions, I mean, they're not giving as much information as we would want. So I'll just share a brief how would I even put this? Okay, so today I was telling my students, and then I asked them to prepare a Google form. Ask them to prepare a Google form with questions that they're supposed to give out to the users. But then they had a lot of yes or no questions. So with that, we were not able to get enough information for the project we're working on. All right, because this is boxing them. They don't get to express themselves. They don't get to tell us what we want to hear. So like I said, avoid yes or no questions, or questions that will give us yes or no responses. Okay, the next tip, you should be observant when you're conducting your research.
Shift your slippers now.
Be very observant. Okay. Notice questions that affect their countenance, that affect their mood, and all of that. Notice participant body language. So I'm conducting an interview with Leo. Leo, sorry, I'm using you too often, but then I'm trying to make this very practical. So let's say Leo is my participant. Yeah. So and then I ask him a particular question. I noticed that his mood has changed. Maybe he's not comfortable answering that question, or his body language, probably the question strikes something. It could be a spark of joy. It could be anger, okay, because he's frustrated about the whole application. So I jot down all of this because I mean, it's not I'm not going to get all the information from just what he tells me. I can also get information from his body language. Okay, reading his body language, from the way his voice is being modulated, the way he spoke, and all of that. I can tell if this person is angry, if this person is sad, if this person is frustrated, even from their facial expressions. Okay, so you have to be very observant when you're conducting your interviews. Be very observant, notice their body languages and all of that. So next, we're going to talk about empathy mapping. The first step to having a good empathy map is to conduct good user interviews. Because when you conduct good user interviews, this is when you'll be able to get enough information from your users. Okay, so first of all, understand users better, collect key insight into users' behaviors, identify gaps in our knowledge of the user. So this is what an empathy map is all about. This is what an empathy map looks like. Okay. This is where you put down this after you've gotten all your information from the interview. You can see on the left the icon, and then it says said. On the right we have the bottom right we have thoughts, and then the bottom right, we have felt. Okay, so the top left, where we have said, okay, I'm going to be explaining it one after the other so we understand what an empathy map is all about. So first of all, we're going to be looking at said. This is where you record, you take note of all the direct quotes, all the direct quotes from the participant, what the participant said during the interview. If Leo, for instance, is my participant, okay, this is the person I'm conducting this interview with. And then he says something like, I do not trust this application. We're going to put that down under said, because that's what he said, okay? But try not to summarize these people's responses, okay? And dig deeper as long as the participant is comfortable. Ask more questions in order to get more answers, in order to get more information from them. So like I said, said is just basically the direct quote from the participants. This is what you hear them say. Okay. Did. This is where you take note of the actions the participant takes or says they took, okay, while going through the application. What did the participant say they did? Let's say, for instance, an example of this could be, I opened up the application, or I clicked on this particular button. I ordered food from the application. I did this and I did that. Okay, all of that. The action. This is what we record under did. Okay. What did you observe the participant doing during the interview process? If you were carrying out your interview process, okay, and then you observed your participant doing something, we can also record that under did. Okay, I hope you guys are following. And then we have thoughts. What was the participant thinking? This is where we record all their thoughts. Okay. And you can get all of this, you can get this information by asking them, the participants, okay? Or you can get this from the knowledge, about the user. So dig deeper. I keep saying this, dig deeper if your participant is comfortable. So an example of this is quite frustrating. I think I'm doing this wrong. Okay, all of this are these people's thoughts. Okay, and we're going to record all of this under thoughts. So an empathy map is just a quadrant, okay, where you get to put these informations. You categorize them under did, say, thoughts, felt. Okay, so last we'll be looking at felt. This is where you get to, especially when if you're being observant, you notice if the participant was frustrated, was the user excited, disappointed, hungry, angry, and all of that. We can ask the participant how a particular event or process made them feel. Okay. So this is where you get to, this is where you ask questions like, how did you feel when going through this application? How did you feel when you actually went through this process? How did you feel about this? How did you feel about this feature and all of that? This also goes under felt. So like I said, this is what empathy map is all about. So in the next slide, I'll be showing you an example of an empathy map. So this is it. I'm sure we can all see my screen. On the top left, you have the text think. We have say, we have feel, and we have do. So this is actually done on Miro board, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to do it. So you don't have to worry about that. So you can see here that these are sticky notes with text on them. So on where you have feel, you can see where that on this particular sticky note we have stressed. So this is how the participant felt during the interview. He or she felt stressed, hungry, happy, indifferent, tired after classes, and all of that. Under do, have orders a lot, opens ordering app. These are the actions the user performed. And then this is what the person said. Can I pay on delivery? Or I do not like cooking. What do I order? Do you have a menu? So these are all what the participants said. This is what they think. How can I save money? Which one do I order? And all of that. So I don't know. I hope I'm not moving too fast and we all understand, because I'll be showing you guys how to create an empathy map now. So if you're following, I'll just like you to put something on the chat, just write out. Okay, someone said I'm too fast. I'll just go over this. Like I said, okay. And an empathy map, basically, this is what it looks like. We have on the top left said what the person did, the thought, the felt, and this, you've already seen this icon that has a person's, okay, that this icon symbolizes a person. Okay, so this is about this person, and we were using Leo as an example. So let's say this is Leo in the middle, and all this, okay, are the informations we've gotten from Leo. What Leo said, what he did, what he thought, what he felt. Okay, so and I said that all of this, we record these informations under this, this empathy map. We have said, so this is where we take note of the quotes we got from our participants. And like I said, you try not to summarize these people's responses or assume things. And then we have to dig deeper in order to get more information, as long as they are comfortable. What the participant did, this is where you take note of their actions. What did they do while you were conducting the interview and all of that? What did they say they did? An example could be while I was going through this particular feature, okay, I noticed this and I noticed that. I did this, I opened up the application, I ordered food, okay, and all of that. These are the actions these people took. Thoughts. What was the participant thinking? Okay, and I gave an example. This is quite frustrating. I think I'm doing this wrong. These are all this person's thoughts. And I said we can get this information by asking them, okay, what did you think about this application? Okay, I thought it was frustrating. Okay, and all of that. And then lastly, we're looking at felt. Was the user excited, disappointed, hungry, angry, afraid, all of that, feelings. And again, we can ask the participants how a particular event or process made them feel. Okay, how did you feel when you were going through this application? How did you feel when you used this particular feature, etc.? Okay, and I showed you guys an example here of an empathy map, which I'm very sure everyone is following now. So I'm just going to, okay, I'm going to go to my Miro board. There's what we call Miro. And I would like for us to, I wish we all had our laptops with us now and, following like I'm going to be doing now. So this is what we call Miro board, and that's what we're going to be using for our empathy map. So you can, check out Miro board and then sign up, create an account, because we're going to be using that, and we're going to be given a task at the end of this class. So I'll just move straight to my Miro board. Okay, someone said I did not get the name clearly. You can take the chats. Miro and then board. Miro board. Freda, it's not Miro, please. Please confirm you can see my screen by raising your hands. Okay, thank you very much. You can lower your hands now. So yes, this is Miro board. This is what Miro board looks like. And this is what we're going to be using for our empathy map. Okay, so I would like you to follow, okay, and listen attentively. It's quite simple to use though. We have our tools here. We have select, we have template, we have text, we have sticky notes. We're going to be making use of text and sticky notes. We have shape, we have connection line. We're going to be making use of the line tool. We have pen, we have comment, we have frame, we have upload and all of that. So because of time, I'll just dive right into it. And like I said, if you are with your laptop, okay, you can actually follow along, create an account on Miro because we'll be using this for our empathy map. So I'm just going to get this connection line. I'll make a line down. Okay. I'll make a line from here to okay. I've gotten my lines now. All right. So the next step is getting my text too. And I want to write here. I'll increase the font so you can see. All right, here, say. Or said rather. Okay. And in case you're wondering how I duplicated that, I held on to Alt, our Alt key, and then dragged to the next space. So this is where I write my, did, the actions the participant took. I'm just going to duplicate this. Thoughts. And lastly, we have felt. Okay, in case, okay, someone said I did not catch how you duplicated it. I said, your Alt key before your space bar, press down on it and drag, okay, drag to wherever you want to. That's how you duplicate. But then you can also do the easier way, Control D to duplicate. Okay, so when that is done, I've gotten it. I have said, did, thought, felt. I'm going to get my sticky notes. I love black, actually. That's my favorite color, so I'll be using black. So I'll just paste it here. Okay, so an example of said, let's say we conducted an interview for a food ordering application. We can have, let's say the participant said, I do not like cooking. So I'll just write that here. I do not like cooking. Okay. So we have that. And let's say the person also said something like, I love good food. Okay. So yes, this is it for said, but don't worry, I'll be using another color for did, thought, felt. So this is basically just what your empathy map looks like. Okay. So you just get your sticky notes and then put down all these things. Okay. You know, categorize them under said, did, thought, felt, what they said. Okay, what the participant did, what the participant thought, and what they felt. So I'll get orange for thought, or let's start with did rather. So let's say this is what the participant did while we were conducting our interview. Leo, because we're using Leo, okay, for our case study. Leo opens the app. Okay. And then we're just going to duplicate this. And Leo orders food. There are a lot of other colors to, you know, add beauty to your work. So we're going to be using yellow for thoughts. Let's say okay. So, and this doesn't mean because you're saying, okay, I mean, like I showed you guys the sample, okay? It doesn't mean it's just going to be 2 sticky notes, please. As many as possible. Could be 5, it could be 6, it could be more than that, okay? So, and lastly, we're going to do that for felt. Okay, someone is asking, are you duplicating the sticky notes the same way? It's the same way, Control D, Control plus D to duplicate. Can you use different colors in one section? Yes, actually you can. It mustn't be, oh, forgive me that I'm actually using the same colors for said. I could decide that the sticky note that has I do not like cooking is white, okay, or blue, or any color. All right, so this is what an empathy map looks like. This is what you're going to, okay, you're going to create after conducting your interview. You've gotten enough information from your users, from your participants, okay? So with that information you've gotten, you do this. Just categorize them, what the user said, what the user did, what the user thought, what the user felt. Okay, so with all of this, when we now go into, the main phase of the application, bringing up ideas, we have these things in our mind. Okay, I mean, we know that this is what these people said. With this, we can identify their pain points. Okay, we can spot, okay, their pain points, we know their frustrations and all of that. So with that being said, I'm going to go back to the slide. Okay, I'm sure you guys can still see my screen. If you can, please raise your hands. Okay, thank you very much. You can bring down your hands now. So we're moving forward from here. So great. Now you can conduct some user interviews. All right. Knowing that you can actually create your empathy map. We're going to move on to the next topic for today. Like I said, we do not have time. Well, now we're going to be looking at user research. I know we talked about user research the last time, but now we're going to be talking more about it. So user research helps us explore users' problems, their needs, emotions, and motivations. And in this model, we're going to be making use of qualitative and quantitative methods of research. So I'm going to tell you guys all about it. So yes, qualitative research. Qualitative research focuses on why users feel, think, and do. And you should note that this follows a more direct method to understanding the user. Maybe even a body storm. Okay. In case you're wondering what a body storm is, I'm going to explain. So I'm very sure you guys played this pretend game as kids, because if you didn't, I sure did. I had fun as a child. You know, when you do not have students, but you're acting like a teacher. Okay, imaginary students. And then what I used to do as a child, I'll get a cane, and then I'll be talking to the team air, saying stuff like, have you guys submitted your assignment and all of that. So that's what we call body storm. Okay, so this is where you get to, you put yourself, okay, in the shoes of the user. Okay, and this actually helps to understand the user more. That's what we call a body storm, and we make use of that in the qualitative research. So like I said, it focuses on the why users feel, think, and do, and it follows a more direct method to understanding the user. In this method, okay, we get to, observe them, their body languages, and all of that. We actually have we have various forms of qualitative and quantitative research, and I'm going to leave that to you guys to research on them. I want you to go back and research on the various forms of qualitative and quantitative research. We're probably going to talk about it in the next class. I just want you guys to know what it entails, all about it. Okay, and then we have the quantitative research. This focuses more on how many, example, focus groups, and it's usually remotely carried out than direct. Okay, so this is where we get to focus on the numerical data. For example, how many people in Lagos order food online? Do you understand? This is not a direct method like qualitative was. We're focusing more on the numerical data. So we're saying 32% out of 100 people in Lagos order food online. 50% out of 100 do this or do that. We're focusing more on how many, whereas the qualitative research, it was more direct. We knew who our participants were. Okay, we were able to talk one-on-one with them. Okay, get to observe them, create interviews, and all of that. While quantitative rather, okay, it has various forms, like I said, but I'm going to leave that for you guys. But one of the examples of quantitative research is online surveys. Okay, so like I said, I like my class to be very practical. This time I was working on a project. So what I did was I sent out online surveys because I wanted to meet as many people as possible. And that's what online surveys does. It makes you reach as many people as possible. Okay, so what I did was I wrote out my questions using the Google form. They were supposed to fill these questions or give responses. Okay, so and I sent it, I posted it on my WhatsApp status, and I also sent it to my contacts. So with that, I'm able to reach as many people as possible. That's one of the forms of quantitative research. So like I said, it focuses more on how many people, the numerical data. Okay, that's what quantitative research is all about. And like I said, it's more remotely carried out because I could be in Akwa Ibom and then conduct a questionnaire or send out online surveys to someone in Abuja or Lagos. That's what it means. It's remotely carried out. So this is what qualitative research looks like in a diagram. So we have step 1. You should have a research plan. Okay, before you start out, you don't just wake up one morning and then you want to conduct your user research. You must have a research plan. Step 2, you conduct your user research. Step 3, after conducting your user research, you write out your research reports. Okay, after the research, I was able to do this, I was able to do that, and all of that. So here's an example of a research plan. The brief. A restaurant has engaged you to design an online food reservation and ordering system. Okay. And a restaurant has engaged you to design an online food reservation and ordering system. So like I said, you should have a research plan. And under this, we have research backgrounds, research goals, research questions, the list of participants that you want to conduct these interviews with. I'm seeing a lot of comments, on the chat box where people are saying, do I have to do this for multiple? Yes, you actually have to, you tell us what, how many participants are you conducting this research with? It could be 5, it could be 10, it could be 2. And then lastly, your interview script. So the research background. Why do we want to solve this problem? Why? We must have a reason. We cannot just wake up one morning and then we want to solve a problem. Why do we want to do it? So this is the reason why. The restaurant Gen Z demographic has gone up by 32. Generation Z. Okay, these are the people born between the edges of the 1997 to 2012. That the people we call Gen Z. Okay. So the restaurant's Gen Z demographic has gone up by 32%. Also, the recent COVID-19 outbreak has hit the business. This is why we want to solve this problem. Usually, this information could come from the company's research team. Okay, we're talking about the research background. It could come from the company's research team. So this is why we want to solve this problem. Then we have the research problem statements. Why do we want to solve these problems? Okay, actually, we want to understand the behavior of various demographic and how the other food. We want to understand the behaviors of these people and how the other food. We want to understand how best to create a platform that caters for their needs, aside just being able to order food. So this is our research problem statement. And then we have the objectives. Why do we want to understand the behavior of various demographic and how they order food? Why do we want to do this? So under this heading, where we have why do you want to understand the behavior of various demographic and how they order food? So we have questions like, these are the questions that actually get us more information on why we want to understand the behaviors of these people and how they order food. These are the questions that we need to ask them in order to gather more information on how they order food. Okay, so the first question here is, how do people currently order food? What factors affect how or whether they order for food? What challenges do they face when they try to order for food? How often do they order for food online? So these are questions we need to ask ourselves when we want to understand the behaviors of this particular set of people and how they order food. So going back here, we have the first question here is, how do people currently order food? So we're going to be looking at that and the questions that we can ask them in order to gather more information on how they currently order food. So these are the questions we can ask them. We have, what motivated you to start ordering food? What channels do you go through when ordering for food? Why is this channel their preferred method to order for food? All of these questions will get us more information on how people currently order food. Okay, we have, what motivated you to start ordering food? What channels do you go through when ordering for food? I mean, we want to know what medium, okay, what platforms are these people using currently to order for food? This is the information that we need to get. And then there's what we call a screener question for the participants. What's a screener question? Just like the name implies, it helps you screen out users that are not important for your research. I mean, you can send out questionnaires or online surveys to 100 people, and then you find out that your potential users are only 50. Why? Because the rest were not your users. And there's a particular question that helps you to screen them out. So using this food ordering app as a case study, a good screener question would be, have you ever ordered food online? If the answer yes, they might be a good fit. But if the answer is no, they might need to be screened out. Because I mean, these people have never ordered food online and they don't even plan to. Most of them do not even order food online. Okay, they do not order anything from, any online platforms. And these are not our target users. We want people that have actually ordered food online, or people who love the idea of ordering food online. So this is the screener question. This is a question that is going to screen them out and give you your target users. Now we're going to be looking at the interview script. It is important to have a good interview script to help keep your interview on track and remember questions that you need to ask. I mean, we're human beings and we tend to forget a lot of times. So an interview script is going to help us to keep our interview on track. A good tip is to have an introduction and frame your questions around how and why in order to get your participants to tell a story. I already mentioned this. Try not to ask them questions that would make them to give you yes or no responses. Okay, ask them, how did you order food online? Why did you do this? How was your experience like? How did you feel like? And all of that. We're trying as much as possible to avoid yes or no questions. So, like I said, we're going to be giving out a task. We're going to create an interview script. I'm going to show you guys what an interview script looks like. So you should try, I'm going to tell you this again, try to avoid yes or no questions, because if we find out that you have a lot of yes or no questions, that alone is going to fail you. So for this model, we've prepared an interview script to guide you. However, you need to craft an introduction yourself. So yes, this is an example of an interview script. Questions about the interview participants. You can see these boxes. We have question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, question 5. This is where you'll be putting in your questions. Okay. And in this bracket, it says add questions about the participants here. We have provided one question for you, but bear in mind that you want to know as much as needed about your participant. So on this particular slide, okay, this is where you're going to be asking questions. This is where you want to get to know your user better, your participants better. It could be tell me about yourself. So maybe the second question could be something like, are you employed? Okay. Or can you tell me your employment status? I mean, we're trying to find out more about these people, but please do not ask questions that will make them uncomfortable. Okay, but this particular set is just questions about the interview participants. All right. Now we're going to be looking at quantitative research. I already mentioned it, okay, previously, but I'm going to say it again. Quantitative user research is the process of gathering and analyzing data from surveys. When you've sent out surveys, okay, this is where you get to analyze the data you've gotten at the end of the day. And we could use tools like Google Analytics as an example. I already told us what a qualitative research is all about. Okay, it's not as direct as the qualitative research is. Then we have surveys. Surveys are a quick way to gather a lot of response because they can reach a larger audience. I already talked about this. I talked about surveys and how I sent out surveys once when I was working on a project. So this is a quick way to gather a lot of response because I mean they can reach a larger audience. You can send them to as many people at the same time. And they can be completed using a form and even filled anonymously. That's if your participant does not want to put their names and all of that. And you can actually do this using a Google form. So in case you're planning on working on a personal project or all of that, you can make use of a Google form. Okay, type out your questions and then get responses from these people. So this is a sample survey question. In a quantitative research to understand how people order food, likely survey questions could be: 1, have you ever ordered food online? We have the options. Remember when I said if you're going to ask them yes or no questions, you have to follow it up. So this is what I meant. Have you ever ordered food online? If yes, why? Okay, so this is how you follow up questions. Have you ever ordered food online? The person says yes. If yes, to question 1, why? It could either be because they don't like to cook, or I think it's more thirsty. And we have an option other where they can put in their reasons. So this is an example of a survey question. And then the resources, as always, that I would love you guys to, check it out. We have first one, how to create a user interview script. 2, user interviews, why, when, and how to conduct them. Our trainer, Design She, said once, she mentioned once that it's actually, people learn a lot from reading. And like I said earlier, you do not just grow by, coming for this class, you're in the class, the Zoom meeting, and then at the end of the meeting, you're not doing anything. You're not doing research about what was taught in the class and all of that. No, that's not how you grow. You have to do your research. I mean, you're meant to have said something, yes, but you have to do more research to find out more about what was said and done in class. So lastly, we have sample research plan on old clothes donation. This is an example of a research plan. You should check this out. Okay, so this is the resources. And in case you're wondering, this slide, of course, as always, will be posted on the Slack workspace. Thank you. So now we're going to be entertaining questions. So if you have any question, please raise your hand. Okay, we have Fermi. Please tell us your question.
Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
All right. The question I want to ask is concerning the user research. I mean, let's say you are working with an international client. How will you be able to maybe outsource the participants of your interviews? I mean, how will you be able to get people according to the guidelines that the client has given you? Let's say you are working with a client from the UK and wants to create maybe an app for the UK people. How will you get people in that demographic?
Okay. Let me take that. Okay. So if you have like you said, probably you have an international client. I think that's where the likes of Google Forms come in. Of course, there are various platforms where you can actually create questions like that. Okay, so the client can also assist. Of course, if they're in Nigeria and the person is in UK, they can help you send out these forms to their own geographical location. Okay, but there are other platforms you can actually use. Now, at the same time, you can also create the form in such a way that it captures the person's location. Okay, so that's basically that. It's just going to be an online form. Okay, but the client can also, especially if they're based outside, they can also help you in sorting that out. Making sure to find distribute it to certain platforms where they have reach. Okay, especially if you do not have such reach. But of course, social media is there. There are several online platforms which you can target your online survey to. There are certain online surveys that when you want to fill it, just from the very first, that's where screener questions actually come in also. There are certain, for example, if you're using a Google form, okay, you can make it in such a way that if you're from this particular geographical location, you can't go further in that particular survey. You can't go further. Either it just thanks you and you submit or something like that. So, but if it is with respect to a client, I would actually say the client you should have that discussion with the client, especially if you are not within that geographical location. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Ikes. I was actually going to answer that, but thank you very much. So yes, for me, let's say you, like you said, you have a UK-based client, okay, and you want to create this application for people in the UK or in the US. So I think it's best if you actually, I mean, like you said, the Google Forms, your clients can actually help with that, because I mean, you cannot start sending forms to people in Nigeria when you're working with, this application is for people in the UK. So your clients can send these forms to people over there. And like you said, there are other online platforms that can reach as many people who are over, like, in the other countries. Okay, and this will actually help you user research. I hope your question has been answered.
Yes, ma. Then I have another question.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. When you displayed the Miro board and when you duplicated the first sticky notes, there was a pop-up just so let's have the left-hand side, bottom left-hand side of your screen. So I wanted to ask if Miro board is only used for this empathy mapping kind of thing, or we can actually use it for flowcharts, because the Miro board actually came up with prompts about connectors when you were duplicating the sticky notes, and I was thinking like we can actually use connectors on that flowcharts, something that can maybe show the user journey from um, from from where they start to where we want them to go, or something like that. So I wanted to be clear on that too.
Thank you very much, Femi. That was a smart question. At least you were following. Okay, so yes, mirror board is not only for empathy mapping, but like I said, you should go home and do your research. Okay, but you should know that mirror board is actually, yes, is used for flowchart and brainstorming and all of that. You can also use it for your user flows, user journey mapping and all of that. So I'm happy you saw the connection line and all of that. Yes, it can actually be used for a flow chart and all of that. So I hope that answered your question too. Okay, so next person we have Temi Oluwa. Can you please unmute and tell us your question?
Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Okay, I want to ask, um, who are the participants? Is it those that owns the app or those that will use the app? And why are we interviewing them?
Can you refresh your question, please?
Okay, I said, who are the participants? Are they those that owns the app or those that will use the app? And my second question is, why are we interviewing them?
Okay,
Hello?
yeah, let me answer that. Okay, so yeah, the participants, okay, they are the persons who will use the application. Okay, they are not the clients, and of course, when asking the question about why we should interview them. Okay, so this is how I'm going to. Can I just play around? What's her name? Temi, right? Temi, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Okay,
you.
okay, good. So quick one. What do you do?
What do you say?
What do you do? What do you do for a living? Like, what do you do?
No, I'm still a student.
You're still a student.
Yes.
Okay, okay. That's fine. I thought you were actually working. Okay, but it's fine. So if you want to, let's assume you're a tailor, okay, and then I want you to sew a dress for me. Will you will you ask me some questions? Like, will you ask me any question?
Yes.
Why?
So that I will know the type of dress I'll sew.
Thank you very much. So I think that answers your question. So you ask them so you know, okay, you get to, because you want to design a product that a user, okay, will be able to use properly, effectively, that will solve a problem. You cannot assume that you have the answer. You cannot assume that you know what a user needs. I like to always say this, okay? A typical example is Facebook. Okay. Now, do you think Facebook just came out and just started designing Facebook and building it without, first of all, wanting to know, how and why this solution is important? Okay. So you must have to ask these questions, else you will build a product that only you and your client can use. It will not solve the problem. Okay. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, tell me. I feel like I do not have any other thing to say. But yes, you said who are these participants? Yes, they are people who are going to the people who are going to possibly use this application. And why are we doing that? In order to understand them, understand the people who are going to be using this application. Okay, understand their frustrations, their possible frustrations, their pain points, and all of that. Basically, just to understand their behaviors. Okay, to get to know our users more, the people who are going to be using our products, the possible features they want to see on the application, and all of that. So next we have Fajimi. I don't know if I spelled that correctly.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, you said the qualitative user research has to do with how the users feel or what they think, and then the quantitative has to do with the quantitative is not as direct as the qualitative user research. So can we say qualitative user research has to is more of a physical interview, and then quantitative is more of virtual, like online something?
Okay. What's her name? All right.
Mistura.
So yes, like I said, just like you read, qualitative is more direct. Yes, it could be physical, but it doesn't mean that it's entirely physical. Okay, but it's more direct. All right. While the other one has to be online surveillance and it can be done remotely. So yes, you're actually on point. You're on track. Yes. The other
Is
one, the qualitative. Were you saying something?
Yes, the qualitative is not does not mean it's always physical.
Yes.
Okay, but if I'm not seeing somebody, how would how would I read their body language?
That's why I said it's not entirely physical. Did you understand that?
Okay.
Have I answered your question?
Yeah,
All
thank you.
right. You're welcome. Emmanuel, can you please unmute and tell us your question?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, thank you for the class. And also my question is about this Miro board, because um during the course of the explanation, you made mention of we have to list our participants while trying to bring out this empathy map. So my question here is, what if in a case we actually have, like, let's say for instance, we have 10 participants, and now we are to create an empathy map for them. Are we to actually put out all the results we have in those responses, then actually look for the ones that are close to one another to make it one, instead of just putting like all the 10 from each person in the empathy map? That is just my question. I don't know if you really get that.
Okay, thank you very much. So, well, there is a way to actually solve that problem of yours, because most UX designers, okay, they want to make the job easier. So on the empathy map, okay, let me share my screen to answer that question. Please permit me. Okay, permit me to share my screen. Okay, I'm sure you guys can all can see my screen. Please
Yes.
confirm. Okay, all right. So I'm going to do something to answer your question. So instead of doing all of this, I'm just going to write this out. Let me increase that. I'll call this participant one. Okay, I'm going to duplicate that. Call this participant two. Let's say we have 5 participants now. Call this 3. Four. And 5. Okay, so I'll just get my sticky notes. Okay, so who asked that question? I cannot remember. But
I
did you see
did.
what I just
uh,
okay, did you see what I just did now?
yes, I
Yes,
do.
so I could just list out what the first participant. It's you can actually do it this way if they want it, if they want to be anonymous, okay. But if I probably know the name of my participant, remember we're using this guy's name. Let's say we have Leo, okay. You could just put their names. Or I can decide to use yours, Emmanuel. So this just answers your question. All right. So you can decide participant one. This is what the person thought, felt, did, and all of that. This is entirely about the first participant. This is about the second. This is about the third, the fourth, and the fifth. So Emmanuel, have I answered your question?
Yes, you have.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Odunayo, okay. Please unmute and ask your question.
Okay, good evening, ma. Okay, my question is about the empathy map. What if I want to design an app that has not been designed before? How do I know the possible frustration, like from the user? How will I know their possible frustration in that kind of case?
I'm sure you know the answer to that question already. How do you know their frustrations and pain points and all of that? By conducting a user research, by conducting interviews. I mean, what's the essence of a user research? To know more about the users. You are not going to be the user of this application. There are a lot of applications that have not been put out there yet. That people are not even thinking about right now, but very soon you're going to see these applications. I mean, they do not just start, making up these pain points by themselves. I think design should set something in the comments. You are not your user, okay? I mean, it's okay to body storm and all of that, but then you have to reach out because you're not the only person who's going to use this application. You have to reach out to as many people. This is how you know who your target users are. And this is when you're going to learn their pain points, their frustrations, and everything by conducting a user research. Odunayo, have I answered your question?
No, like my own point is that, okay, I'll conduct the research, but how will I, like, there are possible interaction with the app? Because if it's a normal app that has been done before, okay, they may say, okay, when they use this app, this was the frustration and this and that. But this is a new app, they've not even used it before. So how will I know the possible frustration that will come with the app?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're trying to say. I think I understand that. Okay. So in that case, okay, let's say you're working on a project and this application has never been used before. Okay, you could start by saying, okay, how do you feel? The possible questions will, how do you feel about, knowing that this application actually exists? Especially if, like I said, as UI UX designers, we're problem solvers. So this application has to solve a problem. How do you feel if this if this product is being brought into existence? Okay. And then, we're reaching out to people who are possibly going to be our users. Okay, we have a particular problem, and then these people can actually relate to this problem. Like, let's say the food ordering application was not even in existence, but then we have people with these problems of not being able to order food online. So how do we know their frustration? First of all, how would you feel like knowing that, I don't have to stress about going to a restaurant? Only with a click on my phone, I can actually place an order, and then I get the food delivered to me. Okay, but then after that is done, I've been able to, bring up ideas, brainstorm, and all of that. And I now know the features that are going to be on this application. Even when I'm doing my testing, okay, I can actually get to know their pain points and all of that, because when I now send this out for testing, I'm able to know if I actually solve the problem. Okay, if one or two things were responsive and all of that. So that's it. Otunayo, are you clear now, or do you still have concerns?
Yeah, I'm clear, but I have another question. Okay, what if we are designing an app and since we are not the user, but let's say we can relate with the app, can't we use our own point of view to add with the user's point of view to, like, to draw the empathy map? Like, can't we also put our own ideas with the users since like the app relates to us too?
Okay, let me come in, and I want to just come in with a direct answer. No, capital N and O, do not do that. Okay. Yes, it may relate to you, yet you may see yourself using the application, but you're also the designer. But the app is not about what you have your own point of view. What you like may not be what 80% of the users of that application will like. Okay, and it's very funny. One of the ironic things is that not every app that you design you get to make use of. I, for one, of course, the fact that I'm in UI UX, I kind of love UI UX though, but I'm not UI UX designer. I'm a mobile app developer. Now, of all the applications I've built, I don't think I use up to like 2 of them. Okay. Could I relate to the application? Yes. But do I use the application? No. So as you imagine, I now build that application or design it with my own, thinking and thought process and the features that I feel should be there, yet I am not using it. Okay, so capital N-O. It is not about you. Take yourself out of the equation. Okay, get to know what the users need. You're not the user. You're not, whether you relate to it or not, whether it was revealed to you in the dream that this application is going to speak to your life. It's not. No. It's not about you. Okay, it's not about you. Take yourself out of that equation.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ikes. So I said earlier, it's very easy as
Sorry,
human beings.
sorry,
Okay,
can I
design. So you want to
can I
say something? All right,
yeah,
thank you very much. Okay, go ahead.
okay. Okay, so I feel like if you want to work on an application that is not in existence, right? That's where the research comes in, because whether we like it or not, whatever solution you want to bring now, someone has done it before, right? So if you want to craft out questions, to get feedback from your users, you just have to be creative on the kind of questions you would ask. So let's say, for example, I want to design the next Facebook, right? I definitely will not have the same features that Facebook have, but if I ask questions or if I interview, lots of people and get feedback from them, okay, what features are you looking out for in a platform like XYZ? Okay, what are your pain points? Have you used an application such as these? They will tell you XYZ. Okay, so it depends on how you craft your question, because data is life, right? And design decisions are being made by the number of data you have. So if you're designing an application that is not in existence, so this one, you're not getting feedback from users based on what you have done already. This one, you want to start from scratch. It depends on the way you craft your question, because even WhatsApp now, I have audited WhatsApp severally just using the app. I see some things I feel could be better, right? So if I want to design something like WhatsApp, right, I may, get feedback from people. Have you used WhatsApp? Well, definitely everyone has used WhatsApp. What are your little pain points? What are you looking out for? So if you notice, even platforms like WhatsApp, before now, we may not have had an application such as WhatsApp, but they had gotten lots of data from To Go, from Facebook, from other already existing applications. Okay, so when you have all this data, then you can make informed decisions on your design. So that's what I just feel. But you can make more research on all this. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Design Chi. I'm sure that answered your question.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
all right, Leo Ekene, do you have a question? Doesn't. Shegun Stephen, please ask your question.
Thank you. Good evening. My question is, recently on Twitter, there was a vast debate on the platform talking about a potential edit feature. And Elon Musk made a question out of it. Can I say, Elon just made a user research trick on behalf of Twitter, even though the app is already active. Is that a user research method too?
Shegun, can you take your question again?
Thank you. Like recently on Twitter said they are working on an edit feature on the platform. Now, it wasn't a question, it was just a direct message. But Elon Musk made a question out of it. He asked that, he said, do you want an edit feature? And people were saying all kind of their opinions. So my question is, can I say Elon Musk did a user research method, like a trick, on behalf of Twitter?
Okay, so I want to take this one. I'll say yes, and the reason I would say yes, you can actually, if you check on the chat, you can see a lot of persons saying stuff. Okay, Elon Musk now owns Twitter, 9.2% and the likes of that. Okay, so yes, as much as that actually works. Okay, I'm just imagining you, Shegun Steven, now as a UI UX designer. Okay, and then you ask such a question. How many replies will you get? how many persons will actually reply you. Okay, so I wouldn't want to, in as much as that works. Okay, there are levels to these things. Okay, there are levels to these things. So for that's actually, if of course, if you have a very large user base, okay, asking some certain questions can give you feedback that will help build your application better, improve upon certain features that you have. Of course, from the feedback they may have gotten from posts and retweets and the likes, as it's done on Twitter, they can get to like say, okay, fine, this I think this edit feature kind of works. I think probably it doesn't work based on those responses. So yes, that can actually be done. But like I said, there are levels to these things. Okay, you as a designer, of course, you're not the owner of the product. You can't go out there and start putting out a chat on your social media and tell the person, well, tell people, okay, I'm building this. What do you think about this? No, you can't do that. You're not in that position too. Okay, so as a UI UX designer, that's why I don't want to really give a straight up answer. Don't tilt towards that, okay, because you can actually put yourself into trouble, especially if you have signed a an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement with whatever company you're actually working for. So stick to your research, okay. Try as much as possible not to go and open up about a product. Okay, this young man is not in the same league right now. Okay, as I said, there are levels to these things. So trust me, if you as a UI UX designer designing for a company, do this thing where you get to talk about the product, okay, trust me, you can actually get yourself in trouble. Okay, but can you get feedback from that, from that method? Yes, you can. But as a UI UX designer working in a company, should you? That's the question. And personally, this is my own personal opinion, I would say no, you should not. Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ikes. Does any other mentor have anything to say to that? But I think his question has been answered though. Do we have any more questions before we call it a night? Any other questions?
Okay, since there are no other questions, let me come in. Okay, somebody's hand is up. Oh. Lucky blessing, please take it. Go on.
Okay, so yeah, let me take over this section there so we can actually round up. Victor Sunday, go ahead.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think, okay. While she was talking on the empathy mapping, I didn't really get what she meant by thought and self.
Sorry, can you speak out a bit, please?
I said she should throw more light on empathy mapping.
Okay, we're really about time, so I would really actually advise that you go through the video again. Okay, but basically what your trainer will just do, maybe just drop the slides are actually going to be dropped on the channel. Okay, we didn't really want to go far back. Okay, so you can just go through the video again. It was really well explained. Lucky blessing, please go ahead. Hello, Lucky. We have about 5 seconds to do that, please. Okay, so I think we'll just round off here, so we can actually just let's just take our questions on the Slack workspace. Ihechi, I think you actually have something to say, so go ahead, so we can round up.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Please, I want to address the whole submission issue, and I've not been promoted, and my work has not been reviewed. So please, if you submit your assignment and you are not promoted, please go to the Google Sheets that will be shared on the channel and check what the issue was. When you correct it, notify one of the mentors that you have corrected or you have effected the change on your assignments. Please do not resubmit your assignments, because if you resubmit your assignment, if I see your name appearing twice on the Airtable sheet, I'm going to attend to you last. You are going to complain on the channel. Nobody's going to respond to you. So please, if you have any issue or the mentors reported that your assignment is incomplete or plagiarism or something, go to the same link you submitted on the Airtable and edit it. I'm begging you people now, because after now, you people that will beg me. So please just adhere to this instruction, very simple instruction. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much, Hinchi. So I think we're going to be rounding up the class today. So thank you, Hinchi. Thank you, Design Chief, for your time. Thank you, Favor, for your time also. And to everyone who joined the call, big kudos to you all. So let's, if you're on the stage one channel, I want to believe that you have your stage one icon. Okay, if you do not, please go and do that so you don't get kicked out of the stage one channel. Whatever task that's going to be given that would be a prerequisite for getting to the stage two, you will be informed. Okay, so let's pay attention to the channel for information. Every information with respect to assignments, okay, will be dropped on the stage one channel. So mentors and trainers, please take note of that. Yes, for the slide, it will be available also. Okay, thank you very much, guys. It's been wonderful having you on the call. So we get to see same time next class. Okay, have a wonderful day.